Um, like when we talk about things like, say, like black nationalism, or I guess or like, focusing um the um on the struggles of like black people. I feel that a lot of people get stuck on the equivocating of black nationalism to, like, say, like white nationalism, which both are, I guess, founded on two different sets of principles. As you know, I am not a fan of any sort of supremacy, but I do focus on, and I do understand that that institutional power is what primarily guides the intentions behind these two different ideologies. So, like, say with white nationalists, right? A demographic that already holds institutional power, and has benefited from it for hundreds of years. Black people never had institutional power. A lot of nationalism and black nationalism comes from them being the oppressed, or, or as like a reaction, or a resistance to what we would consider to be white supremacy. So
Right.
like, I just wanted to just to ask you a question, um, like I did with in the past. No, well, no, not you, but someone else. What do you think about black nationalism? Like, how would you describe it, and do you subscribe to it? Like, do you agree with it?
Yes, I do. So, if we talk about black nationalism, first of all, the sad truth is that on the subject of black nationalism, we have regressed, right?
Mm,
Because in the 50s and 60s, we already understood that black nationalism was not the same as palingetic ethno-nationalism. Okay,
right.
that's the essence of seeing things from a Eurocentric lens versus an Afrocentric lens, is that you can look at, you can have someone explain it to you, but you also look at what the pioneers of the movement are all about. White ethno-nationalists are about ethnic cleansing. All right, they want
Mm-hmm.
a white ethno state. Black nationalists want to liberate black people. We're talking about a people who were in bondage and are still existing in a cruelly unfair system that is built upon white supremacy. White supremacy is baked in to the stones of the foundation of this country and many European countries, and in many of the still colonized countries in Africa. So when we talk about black nationalism, we have to look at the power structures, as you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and the goal. That's why I can confidently say I'm a black nationalist,
Mm-hmm.
because it's quite obvious the goal I'm shooting for is not ethno nationalism, it's ethnic liberation for a plundered people, for a diaspora or a colonized people.
Very well put. And I'm gonna go more on that. I just want to just address chat just really, really quickly. I'm so
Of
glad
course,
stumbled
I
upon
love
the
chat.
stream. Good convo. Thank you so much. Crowbine EXE. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm also glad to see black creators on Twitch and people in chat too.
Can I ask who you last discussed this with?
Who? Oh, wait. Oh, you mean me?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
said you
I
had
had
tried to have this conversation before.
Yeah. So, yeah, and this is what I also wanted to really talk about too. I like to have conversations with other black creators because I feel that um the Eurocentric lens that we view things through kind of puts us aside, as like we're like, well, they're not like the type of leftist that I want to see. I don't want to hear about all that black struggle shit. I want to hear about Karl Marx and the manifesto and shit. And it's like, that's fine, but I had someone on the like, I had Bantu Otaku on and
Mm.
Scorpio on. Um
Hmm. Well,
yeah.
Bantu Otaku is a character.
Yes, I know. Oh, wow, wow. All right. I guess I don't have to
I know Bantu Otaku. Yeah,
yeah.
go on. Sorry, don't want to
Yeah.
poison the
So,
well.
like, here yeah. Well, yeah. So I understand because I was actively seeking out people who disagreed with like content creators that I personally, I think that they give some good takes.
Hmm.
Right? And this is one of them, like, say, like, Vosh is a controversial character, right?
Yeah.
For many reasons. And I make it very clear I don't subscribe. I'm not married to any parasocial relationship that I have with said creator. I think people give good takes. I think people do really stupid shit. But I wanted to hear the critiques, and I found his critique of his video and his views, and I was like, wow, this is actually great. I think more people should understand what anti-blackness is and what black nationalism is, right? Probably put it in a more positive light as a video that like Vosh made tried like a while ago was trying to equivocate white nationalism with black nationalism. Like, while there is an existence of like black Nazis and people who like legit advocate for like genocide, I don't believe that's a fair and accurate representation of what black nationalism is.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So, right, yeah. So I wanted to talk about it, but the conversation began, and you can watch it. It's on YouTube on his channel. Um, where I said, "Hey, so what do you think about black nationalism? Like, what do you think?" And we went off on like for like I don't even know how long it was, like an hour plus, debating on whether or not I should have shown chat the hour-long plus video, rather than me just asking him like, what is your take on black nationalism? He called my chat Eurocentric. He said that, he was too big brained, high IQ shit to like talk to me. And I was just like, so what's the
Wow.
point of me being here? I'm trying to, and I say it multiple times in the conversation. This is very disappointing. I really like what you guys are doing here. I think that your opinions are being pushed to the side because people don't want to face that there is anti-blackness in some of these communities. Maybe I can shed some positive light on the content, show people like, hey, like there's something, like maybe there's something that we should look at here. But they were just so focused on like sort of like vetting me and making assumptions about me because like I like some of the takes that like someone else said, but like I try to make it very clear that I wanted to come in good faith and have a good perception of you, and it still got derailed.
Mm.
But that's what happened.
That can happen in this space, you know? It's
Yeah.
I I I do not allow myself the luxury on a live stream of bad mouthing any leftist content creators. So
Mhm.
I will say, Bantu Otaku has a lot of righteous energy
Yes.
and is a very fast orator that sometimes I wonder if they take time to breathe.
Mhm.
That said, I think it can get very difficult and you can get into the weeds with these subjects sometimes because a lot of where this energy comes from is sort of a collective cultural hurt and pain
Mm.
of a people, right? So it's hard to have to keep a level head with it. I was just talking with my patrons earlier, and one of them said like, "Hey, I had to get off of Twitter. The Derek
Mm.
Chauvin trial is too triggering." I'm like, "Yeah, that is the horror story that Black Americans live every single day, and it is extremely triggering. It's hard to listen to." So I'm at least charitable in that regard. That more, I would say, more Afrocentric content creators is definitely good. I am not going to necessarily agree with the rhetorical styles of everyone on here, and as I said before, I don't 100% agree with everyone.
Mhm.
It's just ultimately what I try to do is at least have a good conversation with people. Now part of that might be because I'm a bit of an old fogey, part of it might be because I'm a parent, part of it might be because I work in management, and so I have to have a degree of de-escalation skills, and I
Yeah.
it's but these are topics that are hard to broach. I'm happy to go over them. And yeah, some people have mentioned in chat. It's hopefully, I was just curious because you had said it was a tricky conversation last time. So
Yeah, because
I'm not going to do that. I'm just curious. I didn't know if you were talking to a Black content creator or a white content
mhm.
creator about the subject. I had first assumed it was maybe a white streamer that was making things a little
Yeah.
bit difficult for you.
Yeah. No, but, yeah, and, like, I just wanna just make this super clear too, like, I agree with everything that you just said. That conversation doesn't benefit me. that conversation doesn't benefit what I was trying to tell my chat in the beginning, right? Which is like, hey, I think a lot of you guys that think about black nationalism in this light are pretty fucking wrong. Here, we're gonna have a conversation discussing it, right? All that
Hmm.
really showed to an outsider was that these discussions are pretty much like incoherent. Like you can't understand what's going off on tangents. Like we can't get to the core issue. And so like that's why I myself also don't like bad mouthing other content creators. You can look like through the conversation, I try to be as charitable as I possibly can because there's not a lot of us out here, all right? Like there is, but like they're not as platformed as they should be. You
Oh yeah,
know, they're not as recognized as they should be.
criminally underplatformed. It's actually quite
Yeah,
the struggle with the brown skin to try and get progress
exactly.
with political content. It's not easy to do at all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and um I really, really wish that that didn't go that way, and so I really hope that, that maybe, like, they look that over, and understand that, like, "Hey, we may be coming from different places, but we have the same mission here." Maybe it's in different directions, and that's fine. I mean, like, look, like, we're about to disagree on a take, like,
Hmm.
later in this conversation,
Oh yeah.
I still think that, like, there is something that can be gained from like that's why I have conversations. I think perspectives can be shifted, changed, or at least discussed in detail so that another audience like chat can, look it over. But so I get it. And yeah, I really wish them well to really end that off. Yeah. So I guess if there's nothing to add to that, I did want to move on to um well, fuck it. Since we brought it up, let's precurse it. All right. Lefty redemption.
Yeah, let's do
So
it.
let's do it. Okay, so I have a few questions. Well, let me explain my shit here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, um, I watched your video. If you guys haven't watched it, I'm sure mods can link it in chat, but I will do so later. Um, it's a clickbait title. Um, that was pretty much I would guess to parody the influx of white content creators or reactionary content creators that have turned a new leaf and have made a career off of transitioning over to the left from being an absolute dipshit.
Hmm.
And so I think the point was very well clear in that video. More
Hmm.
specifically, I think that a lot of people don't recognize that a lot of these people um they shouldn't be championed as, "Oh, look, I made the change from being a shitty human being to a kinda decent human being." Like, I think that's the problem that a lot of people have with this new, trying to, switch sides because I sat and I thought about it, and I was like, "You know what? I don't think it's more so that, like, these content creators, are now on the side after doing all the bad that they've done, but while they were doing bad things, like, here's a here's a critique of someone that I think one of my friends likes, right? Like, if you talk about, like, Shoe on Head, right?
Hmm.
Um, the reason why a lot of people and I would say you were upset at Shoe on Head, or you just don't care, is what you stated,
Yeah.
is like, they have not only done bad by being a reactionary and making videos advocating for more reactionary politics, but they have prevented people like you and other lefties who have been doing this since forever to be effective, to reach minds. Like they were the counter to what you were doing. So stopping that progress and then after a while going, "Huh, you know what? I'm not gonna stop progress from happening anymore. I'm just gonna go over and join their side." It's very frustrating when we talk about, like, are people genuinely transitioning over? So, I guess my thing is, like, what is redemption? What qualifies for redemption? And I'm gonna tell you my quick stance on redemption. There are some people who, and I think I made this very clear in the beginning of the conversation, or in the beginning of my stream, where I really think people underestimate the ignorance of the average American. There are a
Yeah.
lot of people that
Oh,
like
yeah.
live. Yeah, yeah. There are some people that like live in the middle of like nowhere. I'm not sure where like you live or anyone else, but that legit don't know that like black people are like discriminated, like discriminated against like heavily. Like they couldn't fathom going through the shit that like an African American does, or like maybe like not getting a job because of their, Afrocentric name, or like
Yeah.
their own skin color. And so like um I really think that it is possible from for a lot of people to fall down this way of thinking, or like be latched on to like reactionary like talking points. But I do think that there are some people that are beyond the pale. I'm not trying to convert like Paul Joseph Watson, or like Alex Jones, or like Steven Crowder. I think people of this level are just irredeemable. Like no fucking, like there is no way like we like anyone's gonna take them fucking seriously.
Right.
And even if they change their mind on their own and dismantle their entire fan base and shit like that, fine, whatever. But I don't think these people should be celebrated for it. Like, you see
No,
that difference there?
I do.
There are a lot of, yeah. Yeah. And just like I'll just finish this really, really, really quickly. I don't think that like I really think people are more focused on the celebration aspect, the wow, yay, good for you. You are now a lefty. Like, I think we should calm that shit down a bit and just understand, like, hey, maybe we won the battle, victory. They changed their mind, but focus more on the people who are continuously advocating and not just building off of a new audience.
Yeah,
Um,
I
I'm
agree.
not sure, but I do where we disagree is I do think that there is a redemption arc for a lot of like past reactionaries. But I wanted to know why, or maybe you can explain further why you really don't believe that.
Well, I don't know that I said that there's no redemption. I
Oh,
said
my mistake.
that I don't care. And the thing is that we have people who've been in this space far longer than me. Okay, years, who's been doing what I'm doing for years. People of color who've
Hmm.
been doing what I've been doing for years, and struggling to make that impact, right? I just think that my biggest issue, that and part of what spurned me making the video, is that there are people who say, when you tell them, hey, I'm not comfortable rubbing shoulders with this
Mm.
person because they have a body of work of reactionary content, they've hurt actual people, right? Maybe we don't need to platform this person. Maybe we don't need to rehabilitate this person. And that goes outside of online content creation. That goes for media as well. So, for instance, actually, I think Renegade Cut made a great video about this. You look, he talked about George W. Bush and how the former president is a war criminal, is on a charm offensive. And it's a rehabilitation offensive. We don't need to do that. He needs to be put down in history as the civilian killing monster, anti-gay monster that he was, right? We don't need to rehabilitate him, and we don't need to rehabilitate the image of Shoot on Head or of Hunter Avalon or Chris Reagan. Now, as I've said before, if they off on their own want to do the work, they can. Nothing would stop them. And you know what? I'll let you in on a little secret, right? If any of these reactionary content creators just one day stop uploading reactionary content and go on that journey to turn around their ideology and stop spreading bigotry and don't tell anybody, the world's a better place, despite the
Mm.
fact that nobody knows about it, right? So, and it should be stated, perhaps I could have said more, that I'm not talking about people who watch their content. It's one thing if you're a person who subscribes to their channel, because the biggest half of de-radicalization for that person is clicking unsubscribe and turning off the video,
Mm.
right? And so their transition into a new space would be a lot less impactful because they don't have a body of work to their bigotry, to their reactionary stances. There's somebody who's grown a bit, okay? And they have nothing that they have to undo. They have nothing that they have to atone for. They have nothing that exists that it could potentially hurt people, countering propaganda, whatever. They just one day they unplug from that tap of reactionary content, and they're already well on their way in the right direction. You know, anyone in your chat right now could have been a former reactionary, and I wouldn't know it because they're not a content creator. I'm using it as an example. I think you might actually have some content creators in your chat, but as an example, you know, it could be
A mix,
somebody I'm
yeah.
sitting next to on a park bench. That person the other day could have been watching Nick Fuentes, but one day they decided, you know what? No, this isn't right, and they unsubscribe. Okay, great. You know, it doesn't matter then what they used to watch. But if I'm sitting on a park bench next to Chris Raygun, I'm like, no, we ain't
I would
cool,
pay to see
son,
that.
because you took a megaphone and broadcasted your shit to the world. Okay? You can think whatever you want, but you build an audience off of it. And I don't believe that they get to continue to have that audience, and that they should be amplified, or, you know, because that's my issue. There's a lot of very big, very far reaching content creators on these platforms that do platform them, that do amplify them. And I don't agree with that. And because they have, as someone in my chat mentioned, they actually forwarded a fascist movement. They pushed a fascist movement forward. They didn't just consume fascist media. And so, like I said, it's a contentious take. You know, I don't want them to be gulagged. I don't want them to get the wall.
Sorry if I'm
Okay.
over exaggerating that. Yeah.
I don't want them to get the wall. I don't want them to get gulagged. I just want them to fucking go off, King. Somewhere away. Go away. The best thing they can do is get up and go away. If they, I'm iffy on telling people to undo their livelihoods, and some of these content creators' livelihoods were built around making reactionary content. But if they're capable of removing that body of work, even better. But the final point I'm going to make is that if you claim to be cultivating a diverse and productive space, and you claim to be an ally to people of color, to people who are not cisgendered, to indigenous people, right? Some of those people will not feel comfortable sharing a space with them, or seeing you share your platform with them. Those people who alienated them on a national platform. Okay. I don't name a lot of names in scripted content because, you know, I believe in the old school phrase, a hit dog's gonna holler. I don't need to. But we'll use Shu as an example. It was brought up. Okay.
I thought I was hollering right now. I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I fucking fell into it.
Shuon had bullied people
Yeah.
off of Twitter and sent hate mobs after people, right? I'm not going to pretend that didn't happen. I'm not going to pretend that she didn't digitally harass a black actress on Twitter over absolute bullshit, right? This is not okay. That didn't go away, all right? I've seen, and listen, I was an edgy dude. I grew up in the 90s, so I get being an edgy dude, right? But it's like, even some of these things that I've seen were appalling to me over the years, and you see it in so many different communities. Star Wars community is another one. Do you have any idea how much shit people who've been in Star Wars movies have gotten? Okay. It's like a perfect example. Jake Lloyd played young Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. The blowback from how much people didn't like that movie, he literally quit acting after that. one movie. Quit acting. You take a 10-year-old kid who's probably very excited to be in a very big budget film. He's in a Star Wars movie, a main character in a
That's
Star Wars
true.
movie, his first feature film role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets so much crap, people walking up to him at conventions telling him that he ruined their childhood. He quit acting entirely. And so it's a matter of, I guess I just don't think I need to put in the energy to welcome that sort of person. You want to know another secret though, Ike? I'll tell you another
Yeah,
secret.
let's do it.
Even how I feel about that, or even if a lot of us felt the same way that I do, that does not stop that person from going out and canvassing for UBI or reparations, democratizing a workplace, okay, pushing the IWW,
Mhm.
pushing for DC statehood. Doesn't stop them. They can still do it. It just means that some of the help that they're extending to people, it will still be received, but they may not get it with open arms, and they may not be met with kindness in return. But if they are leftists, right, then they should have that goal in mind of pushing leftist goals regardless. And if they do that, there's nothing I can do to stop them. They have that power to go off on their own and push the left movement forward. All right. And to me, it just rings a bit hollow that I think a lot of it is more people shifting their audiences more than anything. I really do. Maybe I'm poisoned by cynicism, but
Mhm.
it seems like for a number of these individuals who come up in the conversation of redemption, I really think framing it in terms of redemption is not really a good way to frame it. I
Do
think it.
you?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, no. I'm just a quick question. Keep going. Like, do you think it kind of implies by them being redeemed, they are righting all of the wrongs that they have done? Because I would believe that to be extremely inaccurate because you can't really write off like years of propaganda that have shifted so many minds into believing that like people are subhuman, etc. But what would you think?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's necessarily that transactional. I do not think there's a set number or amount of good you can do to undo an amount of wrong you could do, right? And so in this case, if you made content that's literally alienating marginalized people, that's attacking marginalized people, in some cases inspiring terrorists, right? There's not really something you can do to walk that back, because some of the implications, some of the effects from what you did can't be undone, right? So,
Mhm.
I mean, some people like to think that, some people try to quantify it. They say, oh, well, they can do a body of work. They can do a body of work equal to what they previously did, maybe, but who's to say that that changes it for the people that they hurt, right? Who's to
Mhm.
say that that changes it for the people that they may have doxed, that they have cyberbullied, for the people that they have contributed to online harassment mobs against, right? Let's use some obvious examples here. All right, let's shoot for some obvious examples, because I'll go with some of the obvious ones. I said in the video that I missed out on when Gamergate happened, but I later read a great deal about it, and there's some great videos out there that covered sort of
That
the
was a
whole
terrible time.
process. Yeah, I bet it was bad time to be on the internet.
Yeah, I was
Okay,
a little kid. I was like this tall.
so
Yeah.
let's imagine people like Thunderfoot and Sargon turn over a new leaf tomorrow, right? Yeah, I'm gonna throw their names out there. Let's imagine they do that.
I literally cringe at that name though, as soon as you say
Right.
those. Go ahead.
Let's
Yeah,
imagine they turn over a new leaf tomorrow.
yeah.
Will anything they do make a difference to Maddie Bryce or Anita Sarkeesian or Brianna Wu?
Nope.
No, it won't. You can't. Would they believe that you could undo what those guys did? No, probably not. I shouldn't speak for them, though. Most of those ladies actually pretty chill these days, and have shown, honestly, remarkable stoicism in the aftermath of all of that nonsense. But I don't think, from my standpoint as a bystander, I don't really think that's something you can walk back. So,
Mhm.
can Alex Jones walk back what he had wrought by calling the uh, kids
Sanders
shot
up,
at
yeah.
Parkland crisis actors?
Yeah.
Right. That's that's pretty horrible. Pretty inhumane. And
Mhm.
it is not. It is not the responsibility of the victims to forgive those people. It is the responsibility of those people to earn the forgiveness, and forgiveness may
Mhm.
never be earned, but that's part of it. They created that body of work, that they have to carry that with them. This is the internet. What I put out here, this conversation we're having right now, will, unless you delete it tomorrow, will exist in perpetuity. Right?
Yeah.
It's generally accepted that what you put on the internet is eternal. So their body of work is eternal. I had mentioned in the video that I'd watched some Kevin Logan um, when I started watching political content, and he's a contentious figure as well. Um, I do, however, like him for one thing. He has a series called Descent of the Manosphere, and it's a wonderful catalog for all of these people. There's like 80 installments, and it's a great catalog for all of the reactionary shit all these people do. Shoes in there, Hunter Avalon. That's how I know their names. I never actually
Mhm.
watched any of their content or seen them debate people, but I happened across his channel, and he's like, "Oh, here's Mr. Repsion, here's Chris Reagan, here's Hunter Avalon, here's fucking Undoomed." Which, I got to talk to Undoomed. Only one of us can have this voice, and I think it should be me. Um,
I advocate for that, yeah.
so it doesn't have to be dogmatic, but it does have to be. And then that gets me, I guess, to my last point. I could talk for hours on this, but
Yeah, go ahead.
we are supposed to be a progressive space. We're on the progressive side of things. So all of those groups of people that have historically been kicked down by society, black people, Hispanic people, trans people, right? Non-binary people, right?
Mhm.
Um, Sex workers, okay? All of those. This is their, I don't want to say collective safe space, but this is the space we want them to come to for progress, right? We say, hey, come to the left. We're trying to make a better world for you. We're actually trying to make a better world for everybody, because everybody will reap the benefits from the world that I want to see. But the other side is actively making the world worse for them. In the
Mhm.
process of that, though, we're saying, come over here. We're making the world better for you. I just don't know if it works that we can say, hey, by the way, up here on the podium with me today is Hunter Avalon, joining us at the rally here.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
that doesn't work. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, all of that was yeah, yeah. That is a sight, you know? It's literally like here's a good example, right? Like if you're talking to like a group of transgender people,
Right.
and then you like I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going with this, but I'm like, "Hey guys, you know who else changed the um who else turned over a new leaf? Here is Blair White."
Yes. Let's
Oh, like let's
and it may sound like I'm being ridiculous or absurd, but
No, but it's true.
what a lot of these content creators are doing would be the equivalent of me saying, "No, stop booing. Blair White is a leftist now. Don't shout and boo at her. She belongs here." That's what they're doing. That's what they're
Yeah,
doing with Shu and Hunter and Raygun. That's what they're doing with them. Is they're saying, "No, you're wrong for saying, 'Hey, I don't feel comfortable with this.'"
I see. So wait, if I can pinpoint this, because because the narrative going around by a lot of people who are defending these reformed reactionaries, they're they're making it as, oh well, since they've turned over a new leaf, now all of these people that used to hate them are going to continuously go after them and shit on them for changing their mind. Like, I know that you've seen this. Like, this
Mhm.
exists, right?
Well,
But
people
I
say that's gonna happen.
right, right, yeah. But like, well, you don't know. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. Like they say that. That's what I mean by that existing. But what's really the problem is a lot of like leftists when they go, hey, I kind of like my space away from Chris Reagan. Like good for him, whatever. But I don't want to deal with that shit. And a lot of leftists on the internet, they'll get mad that you would, denounce these people, off the bat. But it is literally like, say, like, Warner Brothers, right? Like, the cringy shit well, cringy is an understatement. Blatantly racist things, Warner Brothers has put out, right, in their cartoons, right?
Yeah.
Um, Deleting those cartoons entirely, um won't get rid of the fact that it's already happened. This has
Yeah.
already shaped the minds of people for generations, right? And that's what content does. Content inspires. Content, like guides you through. So
Yes.
like
And this online
I yeah,
content stuff we're doing is far more enduring.
way more effective. Yeah.
It's much harder to get off the internet. It's much harder to scrub clean. And
Mhm,
so and part of it is, part of it might be a bit of feels over reels, if you will.
mhm.
Um I just get tired. I'm going to alienate some of your audience. Listen though. Listen.
Yeah.
I get very tired of white people getting second and third chances because I do not get that luxury. Okay. I fight
Yeah.
for the first chance that I get. It's a struggle. I got to scrape and climb. This person finally comes to terms with the fact that, hey, they're being a real shit and they get to maintain a subscriber count in the hundreds of thousands and say, hey, I'm better now. We're cool,
Mhm.
right? No, fuck off. Right? It's
Yeah.
no, it's a privilege. It is definitely a privilege, and it's one you see everywhere. Legal system, politics, it doesn't matter. The workplace, all right. White
And
people bend over backwards to rehabilitate white people, and that is not done for black people in the same spaces, right?
it
Got to
is
be
not.
twice as good to be half as qualified. So
And
that
just one
might
thing.
be a less rational reason why I don't care for it. I'm like,
Mhm.
fuck them. They made their bed. They were adults. Like, who gives a shit? They.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people who didn't have a baby Nazi phase that maybe we can talk to them. Why are we required to give them that second chance? There's nothing stopping them from doing the work to push the movement forward, but they do not necessarily need to be welcomed into every space. I know some, and maybe I'm being uncharitable to some people like Hunter, who I'm told is doing a lot of work to de-radicalize other people. And
Mhm.
I know Faraday Speaks. He wasn't a reactionary content creator. He was just someone who consumed it. And he started, I don't even know if they still go by the name Faraday, but they started a channel afterwards to focus on de-radicalization, which is a little bit different.
Well,
Um,
you well, just one thing. You mentioned something, privilege. I think that's so important because one thing in your video that really caught my eye was the alt-right pipeline. And I'm just gonna just steal man here, I'm gonna generalize. I think what you were pointing at was to even enter or get far down the alt-right pipeline, you have to be privileged enough to be unaware of the things that like minorities go through or like oppressed people go through.
oh,
A lot of
absolutely.
people, yeah. So I really wanted to hammer down on that because I mentioned the alt-right pipeline about like 100 fucking times when I go over reactionary content
Yeah.
because it's important to people to actually know, especially you white people out there because you're more susceptible to really going down it. But um, here's something that I want to bring up to you.
Hmm.
So, with a lot of black people, a lot of black spaces, I'm sure you can relate. There are different ways of people, like there's different types of black people with different ideologies we unfortunately have something that I like to consider the black conservative. I'm not a fan. However, these people do exist. And so, um, these people I have seen go down that pipeline. And like, um, while I still agree with the sentiment that there has to be some sort of privilege to, to enter the all right pipeline, I think like with like minorities and people of color, they'll go down it, but they won't go as far as like Nick Fuentes. Like I think there is a stop period where like they resume reactionary content because what's peddled in black communities is is that like we are victimized, etc. Like we are victims, etc. And a lot of people understand what that means, but there's also some black people who hate that label and therefore will move over to like more conservative values to counteract that narrative. So it's so like for example, right? Like say black person, right, has like a bunch of family members who are like super liberal and all that, and they're super like, like mean to them, etc. And they propose that the best thing for black people is conservative values. We need to fix black people ourselves. There's something wrong with it. And they kind of internalize some sort of like self-hatred or like like super specific critique of black people and like how they're dangerous to society, right? They start consuming things like anti-feminist content, like like Sean had Chris Reagan, and they start to lean into like the Lauren Southern, Sargon of Akkad, etc. So like, I only make this story because I'm not sure, but there was a point where like I consumed like some sort of like reactionary content, right? But I didn't go as far as to subscribe with like neo-Nazi beliefs, white ethno states and eugenics. Um, but I do feel that it's possible, not primarily on like what we classify as like white privilege, but I think there's other privileges too. Um, but I think it can also come from the information that's fed to you. I don't think it's primarily just,
Well,
um there, yeah,
I get what
if
you're
you can
getting
like
at.
kind of.
So I think I think a big thing that would play into what you're describing would be some form of like survivorship bias.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, there are black people that fall into conservative movements. There are black people that fall into reactionary movements. Obviously, elephant in the room, they are a noticeable minority. But
Mhm.
more importantly, there is a lot of survivorship bias that puts people towards that. Okay, and the biggest I think one of the biggest drivers of that is you can someone in my chat had mentioned PragerU, and that's a perfect example. Okay, they regularly have black conservative
Oh
contributors
boy, I hate
on
that
there.
shit. Oh my
you
god, dude.
know,
I just got traumatized. Go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
It's rough. It's rough
Fuck.
watch. It's almost comical in how stupid it is. I mean, it wasn't that
Yeah.
long ago. They literally released a video which was essentially slavery's a good
Oh yeah.
thing, and I'm just like,
Radical abolitionist John
I'm
Brown.
like,
Dude,
damn,
that
they
was
are
fucking
going
wild.
mask off.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So, but I think survivorship bias plays a role because, yeah, we can say it's always the same narrative. All right. It is someone who is surviving, if you will, the very crushing and monumentous systemic barriers placed against black people in this country. And so they're saying, well, I survived, everyone else can. So conservatism paid off for me. Being pro capitalism paid off for me.
Mhm.
You know, aligning with this conservative movement paid off for me. In some cases, it literally pays off. That's where you get your Candace Owens from, who's got a lot of fossil fuel money backing her, and so, and troublingly enough, I feel like she's being groomed for a political office run. So look forward to that.
Yep.
Look forward to
Can't
that
wait.
run.
Candace and Tucker, baby. Oh
I
yeah.
I do not want to see her on a ballot anywhere in my lifetime.
Oh god. I hope I'm not alive for that. No, like seriously, like just I would rather be dead. Like that's just something I would never want to participate in. Just one quick question, just one quick question.
Yeah.
Oh no, no, I mean to adjust chat. Not this sounds like a black people have to think black argument, not argument, but discussion topic. No, it's not that. We're just trying to explore the reasons like why some black people may like fall what we would consider to be the alt-right pipeline. Like Carr said, they are a noticeable minority, and there isn't really like very much of them. But it's important to really discuss that. I don't think we should just go, oh, there's a reason like we should all just think one certain way. No, like there's like the main concept is like black liberation, right? It's
Mhm.
getting to that success point to where black people are in control of their own destiny and and don't have to be the oppressed class all the time. Oh no, not the oppressed class, but like the oppressed people like for fucking ever. So like
And what
we
I
all
want to
have yeah,
say, to just
yeah,
bounce back to what we discussed with Afrocentrism, is the great thing about it is, we may not all see or think the same way
right. That's
about
exactly what I
these
was gonna say.
things, but when we talk about Afrocentrism and why I think it's important for all black people is that the idea is, regardless of what your exact ideology is, the goal is, independent of everything else, liberation for black people. White people aren't even part of the conversation if you're talking academic Afrocentrism, because we're no longer measuring ourselves against white people. Why would we be talking about white people? We're talking about black liberation. All right. Now, someone had asked about the systemic barriers. I don't even have to make it about black people to answer that. I can zoom out and look at just people in general, all right, and make it a class discussion, which is just fine. I'm happy to do that. Let's talk about class. I have a video on my channel called The Game, right? And I go
Mhm.
over the math of this. You have a 4% chance, if you are born in poverty, of dying not in poverty. 4%. That's worse than any Vegas odds. You have a
Wow.
4% chance, right? And even that is shaky. Some experts say it's lower than that. So when we talk about systemic barriers, we are talking about the fact that your success in life is basically a lottery drawing, right? Um, and you multiply all of those barriers against you if your skin has melanin. Okay. So that's what we're talking about, because then we're talking about you're less likely, if you have an ethnic name, to get called back for a job interview. That's very real. I have an ethnic name, and
Mhm.
I
I
I always
don't,
joke with my
unfortunately.
friends. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, name something white people deal with that black people know nothing about. And I'm like, what? Getting called back for job applications?
Yo, it's true. Yeah, like imagine.
That's a real thing. You have no idea how hard it is for me to get job interviews.
Yeah, wait, Kari, I have to address this because I look at chat
Chuds and
more often
chat.
than I fucking should be.
It's
All right,
okay.
so
Time for a
all
vape
right,
hit. Do it.
right, yeah, right, all right. So class is indefinitely more productive to talk about than race. Absolutely not. I don't like what you're describing here is what we consider to be class reductionism. While class is very important to talk about. There are many people that fit within these classes that have issues that are exclusive to them, and it's important to attack these issues because even if we achieve things like class liberation or or like the success of what we consider to be the proletariat, um, those problems don't just fucking go like they don't go away. Like that's why we have a discussion about these things. A lot of people when they bring up that class is more important than race, they're more uncomfortable about talking about a race in the first place, and that concerns me because it shouldn't bother you that we talk. It's one component of of the class struggle, but it's a very important one. And the second thing, and Card, you can weigh on this after, but let me
Yeah.
just address second thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
Fuck,
your thing.
damn it, damn, you guys deleted it. Fuck, I was gonna, damn it. No, 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 no. This is on me because I told mods to do so. Because I'm trying to create. I took advice from you. I'm trying to create a more welcoming space for people. And then if anyone has any reactionary takes, you guys can talk about it with me, or like send it via Discord, like come on the voice chat. But anyway, um, damn it, I had something really loaded for next. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, right, no, no. I remember what he said. Okay, so they're talking about, oh, okay, are black people oppressed? Look at the actors. Look at the. You've heard this argument, Car. I mean, like, do I have to? All right.
Yeah.
So let me say this real quick. Just because a few people are the exception does not make the vast majority of people that don't succeed not matter, right? Like, yes, there's going to be some successes from people because it worked out for them, right? They are here. But one black person um in an industry that is dominated by majority white people does not mean that black people, oh, we fucking made it. Look, we did it, boys. Look, one black person entered this white dominated institution. Wow, awesome. It doesn't fucking matter because we are trying to talk about the systemic issue that allows that I'm sorry, that doesn't allow more black people in there, more black people to succeed. So like oppression comes in many forms, and you can't just boil it down to, well, one of you succeeded. I mean, come on. If it was truly here, then it wouldn't
Yeah.
exist.
It
But
betrays
yeah.
it falls flat really quickly, and it betrays a bias when they say, well, look at this person, they succeeded. Look at this person, they succeeded. Motherfucker, look at the millions behind them. God
Exactly.
damn, we're in a pandemic. 1 out of every 1,000 black Americans died last year. Okay?
Mhm.
Holy fucking shit. Why are they choosing to look at this group over here when there's a football field of people over here
Yup.
that can't fucking eat, right? So yeah,
Mm.
nah, I don't buy their ignorance on that. They are very clearly living in a very comfortable delusion, or hugging their bias very close to them
Mhm.
to have that kind of take, and it's fine. But it's very transparent, and I offer them. I offer them no kindness. I just destroy them.
Very, very true. And just one thing, mods, keep doing your job. You're doing a great job. I just needed to read that comment because that should trigger the fuck out of me. But anyway, moving forward, I wanted to ask. I'm not sure if we finished our last topic. Did we? Oh, thanks for the
Um,
follow. Thanks for those guys.
it's hard to stay focused with me anyway. So,
No, no,
but
no, no. This has been great. Yeah. But I do have one point that I did want to ask you, and
yeah,
it's a very important one.
well, I'm waiting for a gotcha, Ike. I was hoping you'd hit me with something
What?
hard.
What? A gotcha? No,
Well,
no,
we're
no.
having a convo, not a
Mhm.
debate, so it's good because I tell people I'm not a debate bro, mainly just because
Yeah.
executive dysfunction issues. I lose my place a lot, and I repeat myself a lot. But it's
Mhm.
we're agreeing too much, brother.
Really?
You gotta you
Yeah.
gotta hit me with something. So go ahead, hit your
Yeah,
next
well,
point.
this is the point that we're gonna hit that with. So, here is one thing. I often hear about the talk about, the future of the left, right? And with the conversation I had with Bantu, um, I think it made me disappointed, mostly because I really want to solidify a solid path to the left um being recognized as, like the real deal for shorter sense. So like um when we talk about debate bros, right? Um Notably like the bigger names like a Destiny, a Vosh, Xander Hall, those people who are very beloved amongst their communities, right?
Hmm.
Um I have to admit I find value in debate. I know a lot of people don't. I think it serves a very good utility in it puts doubt in people's minds. So, for example, I was very inspired to make content. Not specifically because I stan Vosh or I stan Xander or anyone else. I don't care about their personality. I personally am not in favor of their past actions. But it was the ideas and the rhetorical efficiency that cast doubt into the things that I was taught, or the things that, like, that I stumbled upon. And the argument that I often come into is, well, and an argument that you made in your video, which has weight, but I disagree with this point, is if we simply ignore these people and we focus on everyone else, then their ideas become obsolete. I think that was a reference to someone else's video. It was like the it was the alt right playbook guy who was
Yeah,
that?
I was building off of what Ian Danskin or Innuendo Studios
Yes,
was
it's an
mentioning.
amazing video.
Yeah, how to
And
radicalize a normie, and that's a
but just one more thing,
my
'cause
general view. Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. No, I don't want to misrepresent you there. Um, but the problem is that when we do that, you know what happens? It's YouTube, like, circa 2014 to 2017, right? Pretty much the worst fucking time in YouTube history, period. Dominated by reactionaries, dominated by, right-wing figures and all that, and they fester. They fester into their Discord servers. They radicalize people a lot more because it's seen as the counterculture, because they're excluding everyone else. The one thing that brought LeftTube to where it is now is the aggressive pursuit. And I hate to give people like Destiny credit. I really fucking do, because I think everyone else can do what he did, and they're doing it now. There are plenty of, like, black debate bros that you don't hear about that are actually very effective in communicating, like, like, black ideas and, like challenging people.
I get what you're saying.
So
I
yeah.
guess my contention would be, because I was around for that growth of leftist YouTube in response to reactionary YouTube. I would argue, however, that that way was actually paved not necessarily by debate bros, but by a number of media critics, YouTubers and content creators who stepped in on the same grounds they were operating on. A lot of the people that I interact with, and I don't even like calling some of these individuals breadtube, but a lot of people I interact with, their first way in was H Bomber Guy. Okay, was
Mm,
Abigail Thorne was Philosophy Tube. Their way in was ContraPoints,
mm,
right? And so for that, because keep in mind, the debate bro thing, circa 2014, there wasn't much representation on the left. You had Destiny
mhm,
and you had Jason Unruhi, right? But the debate pros didn't come after that. You had other gaming streamers and content creators saying, hey, we play games, and also these guys bitching about tits in a video game are fucking stupid, right? So you had people like H-Bomb dunking on Davis Arini and stuff like that. And guess what? He does that and has a massive following. Philosophy Tube has 1 million subscribers. Do either of those people do debates? ContraPoints has 1 million subscribers. She did some debates early on, really more conversations, but that is not her brand. Okay, her brand is very highly produced content. Cat Black doesn't do debates. Cat Black does deep dives, right? She was around for a lot of this as well. Her channel's a lot older than people think. So
mhm,
when I talk, when we can, I'm not saying people shouldn't be making content. I agree, the content should be there to counter that propaganda. That's what we're doing in our goal to make the world better around them. But what I will say is, when we talk about the future of the left, the goal is systemic change, and the reason that goal is that the next time you have someone who is wanting a reactionary goal, be that a white ethno state, because that's where that's the end point of the alt-right. If you sink so far and
yeah.
hit rock bottom, you're at Richard Spencer and
Yeah,
Eric
yeah.
Stryker. That's the actual goal behind these movements.
Eric Stryker
They're
is
just,
literally, like, my favorite, like, dipshit, like, reactionary
oh,
dude.
he's a
Well, no,
great meme.
he's a Nazi. I Can I call him a Nazi?
Oh,
Like,
he's a
is it really?
fucking Nazi.
Yeah,
No, no,
right?
no.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
an actual, like,
yeah.
Roman saluting Nazi. And it
Yeah.
sounds like he just did a huge line of coke before he gets on the
Yeah.
microphone.
He's
Um,
actually a fucking lunatic, man.
no, yeah, no, he's out of his fucking mind. And
Yeah.
so that's the rock bottom you hit. You're watching Eric Stryker and Richard Spencer and watching the really twisted shit on the darker
Hmm.
corners of YouTube that unfortunately got a bit too strong. But let me make this point is that what you're
Hmm.
doing, what I'm doing is we're putting that counter narrative out there, but in the process, we're not also holding a microphone up in front of, hey, so I'm here to counter the narrative. And in doing so, also, here's this Nazi on my other screen. We're gonna chat.
Hmm.
Nah, we don't need to do that. I don't think we need to do that. You can make content, and I think the content does have a purpose. You would not believe the impact that some of these content creators have had, even smaller ones, or even ones that are less dramatic than your ContraPoints or your Philosophy Tube. People, like, okay, Beau of the Fifth Column has inspired people to a
Yeah,
lot of
both very
direct
dope.
action. Love Beau of the Fifth Column. One of my inspirations to start making content, right? Innuendo Studios is another one. I have at least one patron I know that was inspired to start a tenant union, right?
Mhm.
So, and I've done that without doing a debate with Destiny to get to that
Mhm.
point. So you want to know what debates are really good for? I'm sorry, I'm a little old school in the belief that a debate, no one person on either side of a debate walks away and says, "My mind has changed." Right?
Hmm.
Modern debate, as we see it on YouTube, and Sarah Zed talked about this because she used to be an actual debate team member. It's not about being good at debate; it's about scoring points. All right. The people and the fans are walking away saying this person won because they won in the arena of dialectics and rhetoric. But
Well,
I
if I
don't,
could add something just really, really quickly,
yeah,
because yeah, I agree with the blood sport of debate. It's really about dunks, but
it's a
I
slam
don't
match.
think yeah, but I don't think it's like I don't think like say when like I'm gonna use Destiny again. When like Destiny debates Eric Stryker, right? Their objective is not to win over Eric Stryker. Their objective is to make content that literally shows their arguments falling apart. So here's what I think the actual process is because from what you've described, a lot of people seek out this information and they come from people who make educated videos and they make good content, which I agree with. But I think that there are multiple ways into what we consider to be breadtube, right? One ways is by witnessing debate. So like I'm a firm believer that debate casts doubt in not the opponent's mind,
Yeah,
but in the
you're
people
speaking to their
watching.
audience. You're not
Right.
talking to
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
talking to past them.
Right. So I think that like while they may not go, huh, I'm probably wrong about everything. They step away thinking about it, and then they'll look some stuff up, and they'll come across like a philosophy tube. They'll come across like H bomber guy, and that's how they make their way in. So like I think it's a combination of both, but I think that like a lot of people that give like debate bros like like a ton of shit are being like a little bit like uncharitable here. I really think that like some people do resonate more with the debate because they want to have confirmation that the arguments that like they're looking into are solid and strong. Like that when they're faced with opposition, they don't just completely fall apart. That's a lot of the reasons why a lot of people who are like just getting into politics or whatever, they'll watch a debate and they'll go like, huh, that person's not really confident in what they're speaking about. Maybe I should look more into what they're doing. I think that that's a very effective method, and like not just bring over reactionaries, but new people that don't know anything about politics to start to look into those positions.
Yeah, debates can have a place. I I guess I question the effectiveness. And when we're talking about debates here, I'm talking about someone who's on the left debating someone who's on the right or someone who is reactionary. I believe
Right.
there's a great place for debates between leftists who are actually productively in good faith trying to come to an agreement on what the best way forward is. That's fine. There's a place for that. You know, you see political systems all over the world that have that, right?
Yeah.
What I question the effectiveness of bringing on a reactionary, and yeah, you're talking past them, you're talking to their audience, right? So what ultimately what you're doing, yeah, you're saying for your audience they're learning how to counter a narrative. For their audience, you're planting a seed of doubt in the minds of the reactionary audience. Maybe what I would argue, and the point that I was really making in the video, was that that energy is far more useful elsewhere. So I take individual A, right? Individual A is a person who is left-leaning. He's new to this online leftist stuff, but he wants to help. So individual A says, well, what should I do? Individual A can go on Reddit forums and argue with Nazis, and can start a channel and maybe build a following and argue with some more Nazis and discords and on YouTube and Twitch and stuff. But I would say the bigger dividends would be paid if that person helped assemble a rent strike, if that person canvassed for a local petition, if that person helped do a food drive for the food or housing insecure in their community. I think, and I said this in a tweet once, I think that the last thing we should be, when I say last, I'm not saying we shouldn't be doing it. I think the lowest priority is wasting our oxygen on people whose heels are dug into reactionary positions. That's ultimately what I mean. And that was the point also that Ian made in
Oh,
the
yeah.
Innuendo Studios video, is that we have so much we could affect right now in our environment. You have no idea. I talk about this a lot, and I try to have calls to action in everything that I do, because it's important, but also local activism is great, because you will
Right.
see the effects and reap the dividends so much faster with what goes on in your community. At the local level, you will see change so much faster. Congress is always in a deadlock. Congress is slow, bloated, and full of bureaucracy. But you can get, in just about every major city in this country, you can get something up to City Hall on a ballot with a petition. All right, with just names in the thousands, to get it on a referendum. And petitions are won by pounding the pavement. All right, they're won by email campaigns, calling people, telling your friends, walking the neighborhood, talking to people where they're at. And I think that should be the focus. When I make content on here, I always, aside from April Fool's Day, I try to include a call to action. I try to make the video actionable. I try to give something they can take, something they can take with them, so that it's not necessarily about a spectacle debate. It's more along the lines of, okay, here's how I bring people who aren't all the way over, but maybe someone who's in the middle, or someone who doesn't know. This is how they bring them over. This is how we bring them over to our side. I ultimately, like I said, I am old, so maybe I struggle to see the effectiveness of the YouTube debate. I have some controversial takes on what we do on these platforms too. That's the other thing I didn't
Yeah.
really touch on the video. I don't call myself an activist. If I feel lofty, I am an activist, but I don't say that unless I'm out on the street. I do organize things outside of the internet, but what I do here, I might say, if I'm feeling full of myself, I'll say I'm a political commentator, or agitprop, maybe. It could be a
Yeah. I've
description
heard
of
you
what I'm
use
doing.
that.
I'm
What exactly does that mean?
agitprop, or agitation propaganda. It's a term
Ah,
that
okay.
came
There it
from
is.
the Soviet Revolution, I believe. But yeah, agitation propaganda. So sometimes a good thing you can do, and the right definitely uses this tactic, is make people pissed off, but you give them the right things to be mad at. The right wing is very good at making people scared, angry, frantic. They're very, very good at it.
So
Agitprop can
just
also work for us. You agitate. Agitation is a big common term among labor organizers. You go to
uh,
that workplace and you say, hey, you haven't gotten a raise in 4 years. That's fucked up, ain't it? And they're like, yeah, that's fucked up. That sucks. And you go do that to the next person. And they're like, hey,
right.
you don't even get a break to go pee. Isn't that fucked up? And they're like, yeah, that's fucked up. And then you go down the line and you do that and you sow those seeds. And now you have a very agitated mass who's ready to
Yeah, and
take some direct action.
yeah,
That's
and like you bring up a really just good point. Sorry to cut you off
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can go for hours.
Just so I don't forget this. Um, because I think one thing that maybe the debate bro fans like myself and the other fans of not debate bros like such as yourself, we seek to achieve is we are trying to play to the moderates, to the people that don't really know anything, but like once they're informed, now they kind of get it. Like it's like that awakening, like what you said about, the bathroom breaks or like the things that like they need to get mad about. And I think that there's different ways of reaching these people. And maybe it's just a disagreement in what we believe to be effective, right? But
Hmm.
maybe I could just put this forward to you. There's a lot of people, and like one common thing that the right wing does, like as you just said, is make people pissed off. Yeah. But you know what, something else that they do? They posture strength. They they tell everyone, look, the left doesn't want to engage. The left doesn't want to talk about these issues. They're not out here. Look, I'm here talking. But the minute that we started to have discourse, we started to engage with these conversations, people started thinking, not just the audience of like say a Nick Fuentes or whatever, right? Even if we cast doubt, there's 100 more people in there that are gonna go, oh no, that was just Jewish signs there, And so like they're harder to like win over. Who we're trying to win over are the people coming by curious about politics and wanted to hear both sides. The
Hmm.
best time to hear both sides is during a debate. Not saying it's the only time, there's many ways you can check out videos, etc., but it gives people the showcase. And I hate the fact that debates now are really advertised for the blood sport. Yeah, Vosh versus Melanie, Destiny versus Mike from PA. It's cringe because
Sunday,
what we should.
Sunday, Sunday.
Right. Yeah, 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 yeah. I agree with you there. I really don't like that because what brought me on to the political scene, I started watching debates because I really wanted to like see like what arguments held weight. Like what are counters to these said arguments? Not just because I want to win a debate, but because I left more informed. But let me just tell you, there are some debates where you don't learn shit. You just see two people screaming at
There
each
are
other. And
honestly
right.
several. So
Right,
listen,
yeah, yeah.
I like some of these streamers, some of these debate bros. That I guess that leads to my last main take that I'll make here, the most
Mhm.
controversial one.
Oh boy.
Because I said, I might call myself agitprop, I might call myself political commentator, but first and foremost, Twitch, YouTube is entertainment. We're
Mhm.
entertainers, right? Um, a lot of what these people have are not communities, they're fan clubs. And so there's all kinds of entertainment on these platforms. And I think some of the people who've put a lot of work into that entertainment have done a really good job of also bringing people around to more progressive ideas. But some of these streamers that we've talked about that I like to watch, some of them I watch, right? They're
Mhm.
It's entertaining for me because yeah, I'll admit it's fun to watch some of these people talk to some dumb Nazi caller and absolutely demolish them, right? It's entertaining because this person's probably some 15-year-old that's been watching Nick Fuentes and doesn't have very much media training and doesn't know jack shit
Mhm.
about rhetoric and is parroting talking points versus someone who does reading on these points to like a nauseating degree or ad nauseum, if you will. And yeah, that's fun to watch them get destroyed. I just think there's a bigger spectacle aspect of it than an actual progress aspect of it. And so, even to the extent of what I do, I like making the content, and I really hope the content that I make is inspirational to people to do something. That's why I tell people to take to the streets almost all the time. I tell them to get out there in whatever way they can. And if you're disabled and you literally can't walk, well, guess what you can do? If there's organizers in your area, you can download a free police scanner app, and you can relay via radio the movements of the police. You can do that from a desk in your house. You can offer your house as a safe haven for organizers to come to if shit gets loud. All right, you can feed people. I love telling this story. I've told it on a couple different streams. I went to a march last summer, and a lot of people I didn't know were there. But you want to know the one lady I remember when we met up in the park? She had a red wagon full of Big Macs. Something so simple. Yet, hey, we're fucking marching. People are going to work up an appetite. And I'm like, that's useful. That's mutual aid right there. She's feeding the
Yeah,
people on this
mutual
march.
aid.
You got to eat and drink. People are you can drop off water. You can bring food, traffic vests. And that's just talking about like physical organizing and demonstrating. There's all manner of stuff you can do. Make change.org petitions, organize a calling spree, organize a letter campaign. Senators get free postage. So letters work. Send letters. Call them. Blow them up. If you live in a red state, absolutely blow them the fuck up. Make their day
Blow the fuck
miserable.
up.
Make their life miserable. Make them wonder, hey, when is Carr going to call me again? You know? So I just think that with all of that outside the entertainment aspect of what I do online, I try to couch some political engagement around videos that are good to watch. I think that a lot of the debate is spectacle. So yeah, if we want to, here's the rule I always said when I started doing this, because some people ask me, "Oh, would you debate so and so?" And I'm like, probably not. So I set this rule. Here's what I'd say. I would like to see, maybe we'll bring it full circle. I would like to see a debate on an agreed upon series of subjects that's moderated. So that people stay on point. And that's my personal rule. If anyone, wants to debate me, I tell them, okay, there needs to be a moderator. You can pick the moderator.
Do you like pineapple on pizza?
No.
Okay, I will debate you on that. I'm undefeated.
I'm
But
not going to say it's wrong though. I eat a lot of crap.
uh,
I'm not sorry. No. It's literally just I never got on board on the salty and sweet movement. I just like salty or sweet. So I don't even eat salted caramel.
oh shit,
I like pizza with a fuckload of meat on it. Basically a pizza with another pizza's worth of meat on it.
like a mitzas.
Yeah.
Like,
Give me
yeah,
sausage, pepperonis, ham, bacon, meatballs. Give me everything. I
damn.
want it all. I don't like pineapple because it's sweet. They're cloyingly sweet. It's like white people putting raisins in their potato salad. Why would you add
Okay,
something sweet to something
wait. Just
savory?
one thing. PSA: please do not put raisins in your potato salad.
Keep the
Seriously,
raisins the
absolutely
fuck
a sin.
out of your potato salad.
It's
You know,
awful.
um,
Please don't do it.
and that's the other
I'm
half of
looking at
my.
you, chat. Go
That's the
ahead.
other half of my praxis is like 50% of my praxis is making white people uncomfortable. Listen, I've seen the videos. Okay. I've seen the potato salad that you make. I've seen the macaroni that you make. Okay. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Just stop.
It's
Call your
please.
black friend and ask them for their mom's recipe. But
Yo,
stop it.
for
You will never get invited to the cookout if you're bringing that bullshit. Okay, you got don't bring your fucking ambrosia. Don't bring your fucking unseasoned chicken. Do not bring your raisins in the potato
real.
salad or your broccoli in the mac and cheese. Stop it.
Looking at you, 5 Gen.
Yeah, stop it.
But
Okay,
just
you
wait. Just one quick thing because I can go off my potato salad for hours. Um, so one thing, you actually pointed to say that if you hope that your content brings upon inspiration. Here's some confirmation for you. It absolutely does. Definitely inspires me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of different other Black creators. But I just really think that Yeah, there is a spectacle to debate. I do just feel that um, there are limits to what is a productive debate and what's not a debate. I think you've actually made that distinction.
Yeah.
You set different terms. Like hey, it has to be moderated, on an agreed upon topic. That's fine, but I dream that the future of the left is in combination of both debate and structured educational content. But more specifically, and here's what I want to tie this whole conversation in to is lefties need to do more.
Oh
If
yeah.
there's one thing that I agreed with
Absolutely.
if there's one thing that I agreed with Bantu Otaku with, even though I didn't get to fucking agree with him on it, was if you have the power, you have the platform, do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
Follow through with your advocacy. So, like, one thing that I wanted to do, I'm here because I wanna make a real world change. Half the times I'm on stream talking to people like you because I wanna be educated on some certain things, have my ideas tested. But I also wanna tell people like, "Hey, go out, canvas, do on the groundwork because this shit fucking matters." I don't like to peddle the idea that you hear in a lot of other Black communities, which everything is hopeless, forget about it, we always gonna be under the struggle. I hate that shit. It's important to understand and to tell Black people, right? Because I know y'all gonna lump me in with the whole, "Oh, Black people aren't oppressed" shit. I don't agree with that. I'm saying we have to show people the shitty hand that they've been dealt and show them how they can get a better hand or move forward with their life, understand the injustices enacted upon them, right? So
Absolutely.
I think lefties need to do more, whether it's in a debate setting. You know what? If you want to hold a debate, right? Advocate, do more things, like advocate for the same things that you advocate for on the groundwork. And I think that there is a lack of that. There is a lack of advocating for real political action, and then most people focus on national politics because it boosts their ratings, it boosts their following.
Yeah.
And
And I should add that it's not a coincidence. Well, on YouTube's side, maybe it's a coincidence, but like the algorithm favors watch time now over uploads.
mhm,
So when you have people, like I said, it gets very suspect when you have people whose entire leftist engagement, their praxis, if you will, is 5 hour long streams, right? It, it just bring it around. I would say like you did, and add that you use that power that you have, like you were saying. Use that. I want to see more people use that power, use that platform to do more. Some of the people making pretty impressive amounts of money doing this use that influence you have to do more, because like there are some people in this space that are in talks to get TV shows, right,
yeah,
that started as debate bros on YouTube. It's
yeah,
insane. So
dude,
I have about I have a limited amount of time that I am able
yeah.
to stream. It looks like we've done, Jesus
Mhm.
Christ, we've done
Yeah,
90
we
minutes.
went way over. I was gonna tell you that's why I was trying to wrap everything back. Um,
Listen, your
yeah.
chat has been something. It's wonderful. My chat, those of you watching, it's been great. I have a limited amount of time I can wear headphones before my head starts killing me. So,
Yeah.
I
If I can
love
just say
your
one
chat.
thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, everything's one thing. My goal here, on Twitch is to not platform irresponsibly. I really want to focus more on platforming responsibly. And the thing that I try to strive for is I really try to shut down ideas when I have say reactionaries in my chat and etc. A lot of good people in there. Because I really want to show people that these ideas, they have weight, they have merit. And that's why I've been doing more, YouTube videos, because I've actually been listening. I actually understand that there's more than one way to influence people. It doesn't always have to be a debate. It doesn't always have to be engaging with the other arguments. It can just be proving how strong yours are by supplying evidence. Now, last thing, I just want to just thank you so much for coming on here. I think more people need to understand um, why we focus so much on Black issues, and that, you know, Black people deserve, to have their issues be spotlighted sometimes as well, and to feel as if they don't have to conform to certain standards because they live in the society that we live in now. But I really do hope that the future of the left um does become better. I really hope more people do better, because I don't want to be on here as an aesthetic. I don't want to be known as like, oh, the person, the fucking, Black commentator that shuts down all the neo Nazis. If it doesn't do anything in real life, I'll quit right now, you know? But I'm listening, and I hope more people do listen to people like you, to more people like Bantu, to other people that call out these issues. And even though it's brash, even though it's off the cuff and it's antagonizing, it's true. And yeah, so I really appreciate your content, being a part of this community, and taking the time out today for even talking to me. So I really
Hey,
appreciate that.
it's been a pleasure, and your patience has been appreciated, and having this chat.
Um,
So listen, to my chat, whoever's watching on YouTube, hey, go follow and sub Ike. Take your Bezos money and give it to Ike. Um,
Bezos.
those of you on Twitch, my name is Carr. I am Carr underscore YZ on Twitter and Twitch. I am just Carr, Kar, on YouTube. And peace be with you. Ilim Hotep. Thanks for having me, Ike.
No problem. You take care, all right? We'll do
Take
this
care.
later. Yeah, you take care. Bye.